In the last few weeks, I made a sylph to represent the air element and an undine to capture the magic of the water element. So this week we're back on dry land with earth. That's right, I'm making a gnome. I'm starting with an earthy stone colour quilting cotton for the head and a dark chocolate brown for the body. As this is going to be a hanging doll, the arms and legs will be made from glass beads, so no need to make jointed limbs. This does save quite a lot of time, so beady dolls are quite a bit quicker to make than a full-size jointed doll, which means I'm able to make them a little bit more affordable. I am going to be adding a few little extra details to this one though. As she's going to be a gnome, I felt like she really needs some pointy elf ears. I also want to include things you'd find within the earth, like maybe plants and stones, and of course you'll need a little hat of some sort. I'm not entirely sure how I'll fix the hat to the head without the hanging ribbon getting in the way, but I'll figure that one out later. I want to get the shading around the eyes as dark as I can to create a bit of contrast against the fabric, but I want to stick to warm earthy tones, so I'm using a combination of dark brown and black coloured pencil. Chromaflow pencils are quite opaque, but I'll still need to build up a few coats to get a good depth of colour. Going over it with a blending pencil between coats helps to work that pigment into the fabric and gives a nice, smooth, even finish. I love these faceted glass beads. I've got some dark brown and some silver coloured ones which I'm alternating between. They've got a slightly iridescent finish, so they sparkle like gemstones. I must admit I'm a bit of a magpie when it comes to shiny things like beads and crystals. I can't go for a walk without coming home with at least one quartz stone I found glinting at me from a woodland path. The little drop beads I got for the ends are made of opaque coloured glass, but they're so effective they look like polished stone. I've used my die cutter to cut out some mulberry paper vines that I'll use somewhere on the dress. It can get a little bit fiddly getting the paper out of the cutting die, but if you just gently push a pin through those little holes in the bottom, it sort of pops out. It's very satisfying. I'm fixing it in place with a bit of acid-free tacky glue. This stuff definitely lives up to its name. I end up sticking everything to my fingers. It is water-based though, so it washes straight off and it's completely non-toxic. I was initially going to use some wooden buttons for the eyes, but they were a bit too thick and heavy and weren't quite sitting right, so I've gone for some thinner olive-coloured resin ones instead. As usual, I'm stitching them right through to the back of the head with some top stitch thread. The knots and stitches on the back will be hidden under the hair. If you're enjoying this video, by the way, please don't forget to give it a like and let me know. If you'd like to support this channel further, there are some links to some of my dolls and other art below the video. There's also a thanks button somewhere in the corner. Absolutely no pressure, but it all helps to keep the channel going. Staying with the warm earthy tones, I thought I'd try the sepia coloured pens for the line detail. It's going on very dark, but then it seems to lighten a bit as it dries, so we'll just see how we get on with it. It is a bit more subtle than black ink, but I think it works quite well for this doll. These are Derwent line maker pens, which are permanent, light fast and vegan friendly. I'll put a link to these in the description. I'm not sure about the sepia ink on the mouth. I've tried to make the line a bit heavier, but I'm not sure it's going to be dark enough. No, it's really not showing up against the coloured pencil, so I'm going to go over the mouth line in black ink to give it a bit more contrast. That's much better. I've got some super chunky acrylic yarn for the hair. I've also cut out a felt circle using the die cutter, which is much neater than I could cut out by hand. I figured I can somehow fashion it into a pointy pixie hat shape, then stitch it onto the head so it just kind of sits behind the hanging ribbon. As usual, I'm felting the hair in using the Clover pen style tool and 3 38 gauge triangular needles. I'm not sponsored by Clover, but they do get a mention in almost every video, so I kind of think I should be by now. This yarn needle felts in really easily and gives a lovely wavy hair texture when it's all unravelled. This just needs a bit of styling, then I'll stitch the hat in place. The stitches around the bottom of the hat were showing a little bit too much for my liking, so I've added some beads. I bought these green ones in a job lot of jewellery making supplies. I'm 90% sure they're green glass, but they do look a bit like peridot. I've also got some bronze and wooden beads on there and a lovely polished tiger's eye bead. I've named this little one Olivine. If you'd like to see how I made dolls for some of the other elements, you can find those in a playlist on screen now. Go watch those next, and I'll see you there. Bye!